It sounds simple, right? Just your name, where you're from, what you do. But actually, this small moment can shape the way people see you. It can make you confident, friendly, and ready for any situation, or it can make you nervous and quiet. Many English learners know hundreds of words, but when someone says, "Tell me about yourself," their mind suddenly goes blank. Their heart starts to beat fast, and they don't know what to say. I understand this feeling completely because it's something that happens to almost every learner, even those who have been studying for years. Think about how often we need to introduce ourselves. The first day in a new class, the first moment at a new job, meeting people at a party or a conference, joining an online English club, even talking to a teacher or a stranger in English for the first time. Every one of those moments begins with a simple self-introduction. But if we don't prepare for it, that simple moment becomes scary. That is why I always tell my students that your self-introduction is not something you should invent in the moment, it's something you should practice, polish, and own. Because when you are ready with it, you can start any conversation with confidence. Now imagine this. You walk into a room full of people. Maybe your hands are shaking a little. Everyone is looking at you, waiting for you to speak. And then, instead of freezing, you smile. You say, "Good morning, everyone. My name is Alex. I'm from Karachi, and I'm an English learner who loves reading and meeting new people." The moment you say that, you feel the tension drop. You've taken control of the situation. You sound calm, clear, and human. That is what a good self-introduction can do. It gives you power, the power to connect. Many learners think, "I'll just say my name when the time comes." But what happens when someone asks for more? What if they ask, "What do you do?" or "Why are you learning English?" If you have never practiced answering those questions, you will hesitate, and hesitation kills confidence. The best way to fix this is to build your self-introduction like a small story, a story that is true, simple, and ready to use anywhere. In this video, we'll do that together. We'll start with greetings, then your name, where you're from, what you do, and finally a few sentences that make your introduction feel real and memorable. Let's talk about why this matters so much for your English journey. A good introduction is more than just words. It's your first chance to practice speaking clearly. It's your first test of fluency, even before grammar or vocabulary. It's your personal key that opens doors to conversation. When you learn how to introduce yourself naturally, you stop being afraid of speaking to strangers. You stop thinking in your native language first. You start thinking directly in English. Every time you introduce yourself, you train your mouth, your brain, and your confidence together. And that's how real fluency begins, not with memorizing hundreds of grammar rules, but with mastering small moments that matter. I've met thousands of students who could read English books, understand English movies, even write beautiful sentences, but when they had to talk about themselves, they froze. Why? Because they never practiced it out loud. They thought they already knew what to say, but speaking is very different from thinking. When you practice your self-introduction out loud, again and again, your brain becomes faster. The words come naturally. You stop worrying about grammar mistakes and you start focusing on communication. Remember, people don't judge your English by your accent or your grammar. They judge it by your confidence. And confidence starts with knowing what to say about yourself. Here's something I want you to remember. Your self-introduction is not only for interviews or formal moments, it's also for life. You can use it when you meet new friends, when you join an English group, when you travel, or even when you talk to yourself while practicing English. You can say, "Hi, I'm learning English to connect with people from all over the world." It's a small sentence, but it gives you identity. It reminds you why you are learning. The more you say it, the more it becomes a part of you. Speaking English becomes natural because you've made it personal. So as we go through this lesson, I want you to think of your self-introduction as something living, something that grows with you. You can change it, improve it, and make it more powerful as you learn more English. Don't just memorize words, feel them. When you say my name is, say it with confidence. When you say I'm from, imagine your hometown with pride. When you say I love, let that passion show in your voice. That is how you make English your language, not just a subject you study. At the end of this series, you'll have your own self-introduction ready, one that you can say anywhere, anytime, with a smile. You'll stop fearing that question, tell me about yourself, because you'll already know what to say. You'll sound natural, confident, and real. You'll stop thinking, oh no, what should I say? And start thinking, yes, I know exactly what to say. So stay with me until the end of this video and let's build your introduction step by step. You'll speak it, practice it, and own it. Chapter 2. Start with a greeting and your name. When you start your self-introduction, the very first words that come out of your mouth are often the most important. They set the tone for everything that follows. That is why your greeting and your name should sound natural, friendly, and clear. You do not need complicated sentences to sound professional. You just need confidence in how you begin. Think about this moment like opening a door. The greeting is your hand reaching out to turn the handle. Once you open that door with a smile, your name invites people to step inside and listen to you. Let's begin with greetings. Greetings are simple, but they carry energy. You can choose from many options depending on where you are and who you are speaking to. The most universal one is hello. You can say hello anywhere, anytime. It works in an interview, in a classroom, or at a friendly meeting. It's polite, simple, and safe. You can also say hi, which is more casual and relaxed. If you are meeting friends or people your age, hi sounds natural and easy. Then there are time-based greetings such as good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. These are slightly more formal and they show awareness of time, which makes you sound more polite and professional. Always pay attention to the time of day before you say it. I have seen many students say good morning at 6 p.m. or good evening at 9 a.m. It's a small mistake, but it shows you're not fully present in the moment. Practice saying the correct one and smile while saying it. Some countries have unique greetings too. For example, in Australia, people often say day, which is short for good day. It sounds friendly, but it's very informal and used mostly there. In British English, good day sounds old-fashioned, like something from a movie. So choose greetings that match your environment. If you are not sure what to use, hello or good morning will always be safe and correct. In very casual settings, like with close friends, you might hear people say, hey, what's up, or how's it going? These sound natural in some regions but not in others, so don't force them if they don't feel natural to you. The key is to pick one greeting you feel comfortable saying and practice it until it feels like your own voice. Once you've greeted the person, the next part is your name. This part seems easy, but many learners still make small mistakes when saying it. The most common way is I'm or I am. You can say I'm Sarah or I am Sarah. Both are correct. If you want to sound a little more formal, I am is better. If you are in a more casual situation, I'm sounds relaxed and friendly. Another option is my name is. This is a bit longer but polite, and it works well when you want to make your name very clear, like in a phone call or an interview. For example, good morning, my name is Sarah. You can also shorten it naturally in speech to my name's Sarah. Notice how the is becomes sasa. This sounds smooth and natural. If you're introducing yourself in a place where people can't see you, such as a phone call, you can say, this is before your name. For example, hello, this is Sarah speaking. This makes it clear who is on the line. In situations where you're in front of a large audience or giving a presentation, you can also begin with, this is as a way of taking attention confidently. For example, good afternoon, everyone. This is Sarah from Unleash Your English. It sounds confident, natural, and professional. It shows that you're not afraid to take space. Now let's practice how to combine your greeting and name smoothly. You can try these examples. Hello, I'm Alex. Good morning, my name is Aisha. Hi, I'm John. Good afternoon, this is Maria speaking. Read them out loud and notice how they sound. Do they feel natural to you? Is your voice clear? If not, try again. Record yourself and listen. When you hear your own voice, you become aware of your pronunciation and rhythm. Many students think their English sounds strange, but that's just because they're not used to hearing themselves speak. The more you practice, the more confident you'll sound. A common mistake learners make is speaking too quickly or too softly when saying their name. Remember, your name is the most personal part of your introduction. You want people to hear it, remember it, and feel your confidence through it. So slow down slightly when you say it. Say it with pride. If you say, "Hello, I'm Sarah," too fast, it might sound like, "Hello, Sarah." That happens often when learners are nervous. Take a small pause after your greeting. "Hello, I'm Sarah." That pause helps your words breathe. It gives you rhythm, and rhythm makes your English beautiful. You might also face a situation where your name is difficult for English speakers to pronounce. Maybe it has sounds that don't exist in English. In that case, don't worry. You can make it easier for them without changing your identity. For example, if your name is long, you can shorten it for daily conversation, but always with pride. You can say, "My name is Mohammed Asim, but you can call me Asim." This shows confidence and friendliness. You help others, but you also stay true to yourself. That's a small but powerful sign of fluency, the ability to adapt and connect. Sometimes you might want to add a polite phrase after your name to make the introduction warmer. For example, "Nice to meet you," or "It's a pleasure to meet you." You can say, "Hello, I'm Sarah. Nice to meet you," or "Good evening, my name is Aisha. It's a pleasure to meet you." This makes you sound open and kind, and it helps continue the conversation. People will respond positively when they hear that. It shows good manners and confidence. At this stage, your self-introduction looks like a small but complete piece of communication. You have your greeting, your name, and your friendly phrase. It's short, clear, and full of confidence. That's the foundation you'll build on in the next chapters. Practice this basic form until it feels natural. Try it in front of a mirror, with your teacher, or even while recording a short video for yourself. Say it 10 times, 20 times until it flows easily from your mouth. Every time you say it, you're not just practicing words, you're practicing self-confidence in English. Chapter 3. Where you're from and what you do. After you greet someone and say your name, the next thing they naturally want to know is where you are from and what you do. These two pieces of information help people understand you better. They make your introduction more personal and more complete. In English, we have many simple ways to talk about our hometown, our country, and our job. But most learners only know one or two sentences like, "I am from Pakistan," or "I am a student." That's a good start, but there are many other ways to express the same idea in a natural and fluent way. When you can talk about your background clearly, you sound more open, confident, and interesting. Let's start with location. One of the easiest and most common ways to tell people where you are from is, "I'm from," followed by the name of your city or country. For example, "I'm from Lahore," or "I'm from Brazil." You can also say, "I come from," when you want to sound a bit more formal or emotional. "I come from a small town near the mountains." The phrase "come from" feels like you are describing your roots, the place that shaped who you are. Another useful sentence is, "I was born and raised in." This means you were both born and grew up in that same place. For example, "I was born and raised in Delhi." If you were born in one place but grew up in another, you can say, "I was born in Turkey but raised in Germany." This sentence tells more of your story, and it sounds very natural in English. Sometimes you might want to show that you are currently living somewhere different from your hometown. In that case, you can say, "I grew up in," followed by your hometown, and "but now I live in," followed by your current city. For example, "I grew up in Seoul, but now I live in London." This shows your movement and experience. Another nice phrase is, "I'm originally from," which you can use to explain your home country even if you have been living abroad for a long time. "I'm originally from Japan, but I've been living in Canada for 5 years." You can even add how long you've been in your new place by saying, "I've been living in New York for 3 years," or "I've spent the past few years in Paris." These small details make your introduction sound complete and fluent. Now let's talk about what you do. This part is very important, especially in job interviews, classes, or professional meetings. You can start simply by saying, "I work at," followed by your company name. For example, "I work at Google." If you are self-employed, you can say, I run my own business or I work for myself. Notice that we say I work at or I work for, not I work in before a company name. We use I work in only when we talk about a field, not a company. For example, I work in marketing, I work in education, or I work in finance. You can also describe your job title by saying, I work as followed by your position. For example, I work as a teacher, I work as a designer, or I work as an engineer. These are small but important details that make your English sound natural. If you are a student, you can say, I'm a student at followed by the name of your school or university. For example, I'm a student at Oxford University. You can also say, I study followed by your subject. For example, I study English literature or I study computer science. If you have already finished your education, you can say, I graduated from followed by your school's name. I graduated from Karachi University. You can also say, I'm a business graduate or I have a degree in engineering. These are polite and natural ways to share your background. If you are still studying, you can say, I'm currently studying or I'm taking a course in. For example, I'm currently studying economics or I'm taking a course in web design. These phrases make you sound like a motivated learner, and they're very useful in self-introductions. Sometimes learners forget that work and study are not the only things that define what you do. You can also mention volunteer work, side projects, or things you love doing. For example, I volunteer at a local school, or I help organize events for English learners. Sentences like these show that you are an active person, and they make people remember you. If you are currently between jobs, you can still introduce yourself confidently by saying, I'm currently looking for new opportunities in marketing, or I'm exploring new projects related to design. These sentences sound positive and professional. They show that you are still moving forward. When you combine location and profession, your self-introduction starts to sound powerful and smooth. For example, I'm from Bangkok and I work as an English teacher. Or, I'm originally from Spain but I live in London where I study architecture. Try to connect the two ideas into one flowing sentence instead of using two short ones. It sounds more natural and more fluent. Here's another example. I was born and raised in Brazil, and I'm currently working in a digital marketing company in Dubai. This kind of sentence makes your English sound confident, connected, and real. Now let's practice together. Think about your own life. Where were you born? Where are you living now? What do you do every day? Write down your answers and build them into simple sentences. Then say them out loud. For example, I'm from Lahore, but I live in Islamabad. I work as a graphic designer. Or, I was born in Japan, but I grew up in Canada. I'm a student at the University of Toronto. When you repeat these sentences, you're not just learning English grammar, you're learning how to express your identity in English. Remember, your goal is not to sound perfect. Your goal is to sound real. Speak slowly, smile, and mean what you say. People will always remember a confident speaker more than a perfect speaker. If you feel nervous, take a deep breath and remind yourself that you already know what to say. You've prepared it, you've practiced it, and it's yours. This is your story told in English. Chapter 4. Add a personal touch. Hobbies and personality. Now that you know how to greet someone, say your name, talk about where you are from and what you do, it is time to make your self-introduction more personal. This is the part that helps people see who you really are. When you share something small about your hobbies or your personality, you become more than just a name and a job title. You become a person others can connect with. Many English learners skip this part because they think it is not important, but this is where real connection begins. People do not remember you just because of what you do, they remember how you make them feel and the small details that show your character. So let's talk about how to add those personal touches to your self-introduction. One of the easiest ways to make your introduction sound friendly and natural is to talk about your hobbies. Hobbies tell people what you enjoy doing when you are not studying or working. You can start with simple sentences like, I like, I enjoy, or I love. For example, I like cooking, I enjoy reading books, or I love playing football. You can also say, I'm a big fan of when you want to sound a bit more expressive. For example, I'm a big fan of travel shows, or I'm a big fan of photography. Another nice phrase is, I'm really into, which means you are very interested in something. You can say, I'm really into learning new languages, or I'm really into music. All of these phrases are simple and useful, and they help you express who you are in a natural way. If you want to sound a little more advanced, you can also say, I'm a keen followed by a noun. For example, I'm a keen runner or I'm a keen tennis player. The word keen means that you are enthusiastic about something. It is a polite and elegant word often used in British English. Another good phrase is, in my free time, I like to followed by an activity. For example, in my free time, I like to watch movies, or in my free time, I like to practice English with my friends. These small sentences are simple but powerful because they make your introduction sound alive. They show that you are an active and interesting person. When you talk about your hobbies, try to choose one or two that really represent you. Do not try to list everything you like because that can sound robotic. Instead, focus on what you enjoy the most. For example, you can say, I love painting because it helps me relax after a long day. Adding a short reason makes your English sound more fluent and more personal. You are not just giving information, you are sharing something about yourself. You can also say something like, I enjoy reading because it helps me learn new ideas. These small reasons help people connect with you emotionally, and that is what good communication is all about. Sometimes you might want to mention something funny or unique about yourself. This can be a good way to make your introduction memorable. Many English speakers like to share a small fun fact about themselves, especially in classes, interviews, or events. For example, you can say, a fun fact about me is that I can cook dishes from 5 different countries. Or, a fun fact about me is that I collect postcards from every city I visit. You do not need to make it sound too serious. It can even be something small like, a fun fact about me is that I drink 5 cups of tea every day. These short, light details make people smile and remember you. If you do not have a fun fact in mind, do not worry. You can also talk about your personality in a simple and natural way. For example, you can say, I'm a friendly person or I'm a hardworking person. You can also use adjectives like curious, positive, helpful, or creative. For example, I'm a curious person who loves learning new things, or I'm a creative person who enjoys solving problems. These words describe who you are and make your English sound confident. Just remember to keep it short and natural. You do not need to use big or complicated words. The best introductions are always clear and simple. You can also combine your hobbies and personality into one flowing sentence. For example, I'm a positive person who loves spending time outdoors. Or, I'm a calm person who enjoys painting and listening to music. These kinds of sentences sound smooth and professional, and they show your emotional side without sounding too personal. They work well in both formal and informal settings. If you are speaking in a class or interview, you can choose slightly more formal phrases. If you are meeting friends or introducing yourself in an English club, you can be more relaxed and casual. Let's look at a few examples of full introductions with personal touches. You can say, hello, my name is Amir, I'm from Karachi and I work as an accountant. In my free time, I love cooking and trying new recipes. Or, hi, I'm Sarah, I'm from Spain and I'm a student at the University of Barcelona. I'm really into photography and traveling to new places. Both sound natural, personal, and easy to understand. You can also say something like, good evening, my name is Aisha. I'm originally from Morocco, but I live in Canada now. I'm a creative person who enjoys painting and learning new languages. Each of these examples shows the person's background, job, and a small part of their personality. When you practice your self-introduction, do not just memorize words. Practice the feeling too. Smile while you speak. Let your eyes and your voice show that you mean what you say. English is not just about pronunciation or grammar, it is about connection. When you talk about your hobbies or interests, speak as if you are telling a small story about yourself. You can even use small hand gestures or expressions to make it more natural. The goal is to make people feel comfortable talking to you. So now you have learned how to make your self-introduction sound human and memorable. You know how to add small details about what you like and who you are. Remember that people are more likely to talk to you and remember you when you sound open and real. It is not about being perfect, it is about being genuine. Keep your sentences simple, but let your heart speak through them. Practice them again and again until they feel like a part of you. Chapter 5. Create your full self-introduction and speak it confidently. Now you have learned all the parts of a good self-introduction. You know how to greet someone, say your name, talk about where you are from, what you do, and share your hobbies or a small detail about your personality. The next step is to put everything together into one clear, confident paragraph that you can use anywhere. This is where your preparation becomes power. When you bring all of these elements together, you create a small story about yourself that sounds natural, fluent, and real. This is what will make you stand out in every situation, whether it is an interview, a class, or a casual conversation. Let's start by building the structure step by step. First comes your greeting. It opens the conversation politely and sets the tone. After that, you say your name so that people know who you are. Then you mention where you are from or where you live now. After that, you can talk about what you do, such as your job, your studies, or your daily life. Finally, you add one or two sentences about your hobbies or something personal to make your introduction sound friendly and interesting. That is all you need. 5 small parts that, when combined, create something powerful and complete. Let's look at an example. You can say, "Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam. I'm from Lahore, and I work as a teacher. In my free time, I enjoy reading and cooking. It's a pleasure to meet you all." Do you see how simple that is? It is short, clear, and confident. You don't need to use difficult words or long sentences. The beauty of a great introduction is in its simplicity. Another example could be, "Hello, my name is Aisha. I'm originally from Morocco, but I live in Canada now. I'm a student of psychology, and I love painting and learning new languages." Both of these introductions sound natural because they flow like real speech. There are no sudden pauses, no confusion, and no unnecessary words. Now think about your own life. Imagine someone asks you, "Can you tell me about yourself?" What will you say? You already have the tools. Write your sentences down on paper. Start with a greeting, then your name, your location, what you do, and something you love doing. When you write it all out, it becomes easier to see how your ideas connect. You might realize that some sentences sound too short, or maybe you want to add a small detail. That is okay. Keep adjusting it until it feels just right for you. This small paragraph will become your most useful piece of English. Once you have your paragraph, the next step is practice. The more you practice, the more confident you will sound. Start by reading it slowly out loud, then say it again a little faster. Try it in front of a mirror so you can watch your expressions. Make sure you smile. Confidence is not only about words, it is about body language too. Stand straight, make gentle eye contact, and let your face show calmness. If you feel nervous, take a small breath before you start speaking. That one breath helps your mind relax. Remember, you already know what to say because you practiced it. You can also record your voice while saying your self-introduction. Listening to yourself helps you find small areas to improve. Maybe you speak too fast, or maybe your voice sounds too quiet. The more you listen, the more natural you will become. Many English learners are afraid to hear their own voice in English, but that fear disappears with practice. When you hear yourself again and again, your confidence grows naturally. You start believing, "Yes, I can really speak English," and that belief changes everything. Try to make small variations of your self-introduction for different situations. For example, if you are in a job interview, you can say, "Good morning, my name is Ali. I'm from Karachi, and I have a degree in computer science. I've been working as a web developer for the past 2 years, and I really enjoy creating new designs." This version sounds professional and focused on work. If you are in an English class or meeting new friends, you can say, "Hi, I'm Ali. I'm from Karachi, and I work as a web developer. In my free time, I love watching movies and traveling." This one is more casual and friendly. Having these small versions ready helps you adapt easily. Sometimes people worry that their introduction is too short, but short and clear is always better than long and confusing. You do not need to tell your life story. A few well-chosen sentences are enough. What matters is your tone and confidence. Speak like you are happy to share something, not like you are reading from memory. Add natural pauses. Let your words breathe. When you sound relaxed, people will listen to you with interest. If you make a mistake while speaking, don't stop or apologize, just continue. Everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. What matters is that you keep going. Confidence is not about being perfect, it is about not giving up in the middle of your sentence. So keep your smile, take a breath, and finish what you started. That alone makes you sound fluent and strong. Here's something powerful to remember. Your self-introduction is not just a group of sentences, it is a reflection of who you are. It is your first impression, your first chance to connect, and your first step toward real fluency. You can practice grammar and vocabulary for months, but if you cannot talk about yourself confidently, communication will always feel difficult. Once you master this one skill, everything else becomes easier. Conversations open up, people start responding with interest, and most importantly, you start feeling proud of your English. Now that you have learned how to create and practice your self-introduction, I want you to take the final step. Write your own version today. Keep it short, keep it clear, and keep it real. Read it out loud 5 times, record it, listen to it, smile while saying it. Let it become part of you. The next time someone asks, "Can you tell me about yourself?" you will not freeze or hesitate. You will smile, take a breath, and say your introduction with confidence and pride. That moment will show how far you've come on your English journey. And that is the real victory of learning a language. If you enjoyed this lesson and now feel ready to introduce yourself in English, take a moment to practice what you learned today. Write your own self-introduction in the comments so we can learn together and help each other grow. If you found this useful, like the video, and subscribe to Unleash Your English for more easy, powerful lessons every week. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and remember every sentence you speak brings you closer to fluency.